The lie was so small I almost missed it. It was a Tuesday afternoon when I noticed her location had pinged near Mark's apartment again. She had told me she was working late. I didn't say anything that night. I let her come home, kiss me like she always did, routine, almost cold, and pretend everything was fine. My name is Daniel. I'm 34. And until 3 weeks ago I thought I had the perfect life. A beautiful wife, a successful job, and a best friend I'd known since we were 5. Her name is Jessica. We met in college. She was electric. The kind of girl that walked into a room and changed its temperature. She had this laugh that made you forget what you were angry about. I loved her the way you love your first real breath after being underwater too long. Mark. Mark was my brother in everything but blood. We'd grown up together, partied together, helped each other through breakups and broken cars and broken hearts. He was the best man at our wedding. I never thought I'd be planning their betrayal like a dinner party. But once I really knew, something changed. I became calm. Too calm. I didn't confront her. I didn't scream. I watched. Over the next 2 weeks I gathered what I needed. Screenshots and messages. I followed her once just to be sure. There they were, in his car, laughing, his hand brushing hers. Not a care in the world. Not a flicker of guilt. That's when I made the reservation. It was our 5th anniversary. I told Jessica I had something special planned. A fancy dinner, just us. She smiled like a woman who didn't think I knew. That smile burned a hole in my memory. I texted Mark the same night. Anniversary dinner this Saturday. Would mean the world if you came to celebrate with us for a bit. 8 p.m. My treat. He replied instantly. Wouldn't miss it, brother. I had to stop myself from laughing. Saturday came fast. I wore the suit she loved. She wore red, always her power color. She looked stunning, radiant. I watched her check her phone every few minutes during the drive, probably texting him. The restaurant was perfect. Elegant, quiet, the kind of place where you whispered and everything felt heavier than it was. I had asked for a private corner table. Mark arrived right on time. He hugged me, slapped my back. Happy anniversary, man. Jessica's eyes lit up when she saw him. For a second, just a second too long. And I saw it. That flicker of panic when she realized I had invited him. That moment of confusion. And then she masked it. She smiled. Oh wow, she said. This is unexpected. I ordered the wine. A bottle of 2012 Bordeaux. Mark's favorite. I raised my glass. To loyalty, I said. To friendship. We clinked glasses. I watched them drink. Dinner was tense. They tried to act normal, but the energy at the table was different. Jessica barely ate. Mark kept checking his phone. So Mark, I said casually, how's work been? Still doing those late nights? He laughed a little too quickly. Yeah. You know how it is. Jessica shot him a look. Oh, I'm sure Jessica knows all about it, I said, letting the silence settle like fog. She shifted. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I said, smiling. Just making conversation. We talked for a while. About meaningless things. Politics, the weather, and her job. I asked questions. I watched them squirm. And then dessert came. The waiter brought the small chocolate cake I had ordered ahead of time. Written in white icing. 5 years of forever. Looks beautiful, Jessica said softly. Yeah, I replied. You know what else looks beautiful? They both looked at me. I took out the envelope and placed it gently on the table. Jessica stared at it. What is that? Go ahead, I said. Open it. She hesitated. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside, photos and screenshots. And one very clear high-resolution image of the two of them kissing in the parking lot outside his apartment. The silence was absolute. Jessica went pale. Mark froze. You invited us here, to do this? She said, her voice brittle. No, I said calmly. I invited you here because today is important. It's the day everything changes. Mark stood up. Dan, listen, man. Sit down. There must have been something in my voice. As he did. I leaned back. How long? Jessica was trembling. Daniel, please. How long? Mark exhaled. About 6 months. I nodded. Why? I asked, out of everyone, why him? She didn't answer. So I looked at Mark. Why me? Why betray your best friend? He shook his head. It just happened. We didn't mean for it. Don't insult me. Jessica leaned forward. Daniel, I never stopped loving you. I was just confused. I smiled sadly. No, you just got comfortable lying. He started crying. I felt nothing. I loved you, I said. Both of you, I would have done anything for either of you. And you looked me in the eyes and lied. Over and over. Please, she whispered. Don't leave me. I looked at her. Then at him. I already did. I stood up and tapped the glass with my ring. One final toast. They didn't move. To freedom, I said. I took one last sip of wine and walked away, leaving them alone with the wreckage. But I wasn't done yet. The divorce papers were on her desk the next morning. I left before she woke up. I didn't need a final conversation. She moved out 2 weeks later. I never looked back. Mark tried to reach out. Texts and calls. I never answered. He came to my office once. Security escorted him out. A year later, I heard he moved to another city. Something about a failed business and some legal trouble. Jessica stayed in town. I saw her once at a cafe. Alone, she looked older. I don't know if they stayed together. I don't care. It's been 3 years. I'm dating again slowly. I smile more and I sleep better. Sometimes people ask me if I ever regret that night, the way I exposed them. I don't. That dinner wasn't about revenge. It was a funeral. For the lies. For the love I thought I had. And in that candlelit corner of a beautiful restaurant, I buried the past. With dessert, with dignity, and with the truth. Some people light a match and burn it all down. I served the fire in a wine glass and let them drink it themselves. Jessica, she stared at the papers for hours. The signature was his bold final. No notes, no apologies. Just the end. 4 days she didn't leave the apartment. The silence pressed in. Every object reminded her of him. The coffee mug with the chipped handle. His book still on the shelf. His scent on the pillow that she clutched like it could change something. She called once, no answer. He sent a message. I don't even know who I am without you. Please, I was weak. But I never stopped loving you. No reply. The truth? Jessica hadn't meant for it to happen. Mark was there. He was comforting. It started small. An after-work drink. A venting session. A hug that lasted too long. A night she swore she'd regret but didn't stop. And then it grew, not out of love. Out of selfishness. Out of need. Mark made her feel wanted when Daniel felt distant. But she never thought she'd lose both of them. Now she walked through life like a ghost, haunted by a man who chose silence over revenge. That was worse. Silence meant she wasn't even worth the energy of hate. Mark thought he'd be okay. Things happen, he told himself. He'll calm down. He didn't. Within weeks, his reputation was in the mud. Daniel never said a word publicly, he didn't need to. People noticed Mark's sudden absence from Daniel's life. Mutual friends drifted away. Whispers started. Invitations stopped coming. He lost a major client. Jessica stopped calling too. Whatever fragile connection they had shattered once, Daniel cut them both off. And then came the bottle. He drank too much, slept too little. Tried to rebuild something from the ashes, but no one trusted him anymore. Once, in a dark bar on a Tuesday night, he muttered aloud, I lost a brother for a woman who doesn't love me. And nobody responded. Because nobody cared. Daniel, one night, a full year later, Daniel sat across from a woman named Claire. First date. Nice restaurant. Same quiet corner where it had all burned down. He didn't bring it up. He didn't have to. Claire was funny. Midway through dessert she said, You're careful. Like you're watching for someone to flinch. He smiled. I've learned to read tremors before the earthquake. She nodded. And yet, you're still here. He nodded back. Still here. They walked home. She kissed him goodnight at his door. That night he didn't dream of Jessica. He didn't think about Mark. He just slept. Deep, clean sleep. And in the morning, when sunlight cracked through the blinds, he didn't feel broken. He felt free. Epilogue. A different ending. There's a myth that revenge brings closure. But Daniel learned something more powerful than payback. He learned the power of grace. Not the weak kind, not forgiveness for their sake, but the quiet grace of refusing to let bitterness define you. Let them rot in the prisons they built with lies. He would build something else. Brick by honest brick.